So I'd like to welcome Aftab Khan here today, who's going to tell us a little bit about how COVID-19 has been affecting the Kashmir region recently, but also about Kashmir in general. So welcome, Aftab. Can you just tell us, where is Kashmir?
Kashmir is in Himalayas. It's heaven on earth. And if you know the mountains from the K2 to Karakoram to Ladakh, and obviously it is an occupied territory at the moment. In India and Pakistan both have claim on it. Obviously, people of Kashmir have the right on it. They have the title, uh, but those two countries have some claims, and China is there as well. A part of the territory is under the control of the China, and one is under the one part of the area is in the agreement with China until the final, resolution of the Kashmir dispute. It is one of the long-standing, unresolved or disputed territory on the United Nations Security Council agenda from 1947, when India and Pakistan came into being as two countries, and the ruler of the Kashmir was, he decided to remain in a standstill agreement with both countries. And then obviously a indigenous revolt against the local ruler, which was going on for so long, has intensified, and as a result both Indian and Pakistani armies entered into Kashmir, and since then it is divided in two parts. One part is under the occupation of India and the other is under the administration of Pakistan. And there is a distinction between the administration and occupation. Obviously, the Kashmiri, there was a local arrangement with the Indian government through the, at that time, we have an assembly. And on the 5th of August 2019, India has unilaterally withdrew from that relationship with Kashmir and annexed Kashmir as its union territory, unilaterally disregarding the international, community and United Nations resolutions and a framework of for the peaceful resolution of Kashmir. And then they brought in a lockdown on 5th of August, and since then up till July 2020. So the internet was completely cut off. The more than 10,000 people put behind the bars, and 3 or 4 of the ex-chief ministers of Kashmir who used to be Indian supporters, they always been not necessarily for the Kashmiri independence or resolution, but they've been supportive of the Indian arrangements, whatever was there. They've been locked up alongside many young people, and they're still languishes in jail. All the political leadership of Kashmir was imprisoned. People never had the chance to speak to their loved ones, and it was a complete shutdown. So the level of COVID lockdowns you may experience in England, it is fraction of that lockdown which we experience in Kashmir. We have, a million military, army, over there. So that's how it is. So it is one of the largest open air prison, and yeah, life is a struggle. But Kashmiris are resilient. We, as a nation, the people of Kashmir has been, struggling for their right to self-determination, the peace, for bringing peace and bringing the wish that both India and Pakistan understand them as a human beings rather than going after the land of Kashmir or the natural resources of Kashmir, because that's what they are there for. And that's where the people wants that anyone in the world who believe in the humanity, who believe in the protection of the human rights, who believe in the protection of an environment, because in South Asia, Kashmir is the mother of the environmental and ecological stabilization. So we have one of the largest glaciers over there, and both Indian and Pakistanis have, Siachen glaciers. Their armies are over there, their deployment, and then their road constructions and everything else has completely imbalancing the ecology of that region, which is bringing climate change and their man-made disaster, or this um, conflict and arm buildup is disturbing our ecology, which not only disturb or affect the people, their livelihoods in Kashmir, but in future it is dangerous for both Indian and Pakistani population as well, because all the 5 major rivers and their tributaries, which provides the water to both India and Pakistan, and their agriculture and their people, they depend on our waters, and but their political interests and their political jingoism against each other, and the hate and all that which they inhibit against each other, and that play on the grounds of Kashmir. They make our land as their battlefield, will harm not only us in Kashmir, but both Indian and Pakistanis, millions of people are over there as well, which we do not want. It is their leadership who actually driving or leading towards them to a disaster. And we want an end to it, and that's where we want to, that people of the world understand the complexity as well as the impact of the Kashmir conflict on in the region, as well as for international peace and international security as well.
Wow, there's a lot there, Aftab. So just to clarify, the Indian part is now a large open air prison, or is it the whole of Kashmir?
No, at this moment in time, it is Indian occupied part of the Kashmir. There are other, obviously, the Pakistani administered part of Kashmir has 2 regions. One is called Gilgit-Baltistan, one is called Azad Kashmir. In Azad Kashmir, there is a local administration. There is elected president, prime minister. They have their judiciary, and it's a small area. The Gilgit and Baltistan is another region which is under direct control of Pakistan, which has a semi, provincial status, but the situation over there is not overtly occupation, it is covert occupation. So that's that's the difference. Yes, there are systematic issues of governance. There are systematic issues of disempowerment in those areas. For instance, in Azad Kashmir, where although we have a government, but there is no governance. The local bodies or local authorities or councils elections for last 30 years, they never happened over there, because there is a controlled system of government, and there is a brain drain. The literacy rate is over there is over 80%, but there is no economic development, there is no industry, there is no economic regeneration opportunities, and increasingly Pakistani administration is building dams, the hydel projects and hydel dams over there. Again, they are bringing so much ecological and environmental impact on the local area, and those are the challenges which exist.
I see. Yes. So many different challenges, and
Yes.
then COVID, yeah, and then COVID-19 has come along. So,
Yes.
can you describe how the people in Kashmir are being affected by this awful pandemic at the moment?
As I said earlier, that we've been going through this lockdown since 5th of August. So we've been over there. Then on top of that, when this new economic, the COVID lockdown come, which has economically, politically, and socially, stagnated our economy and our social infrastructure and our health infrastructure as well. And as you can understand, that when all the communication was cut off, so you have no internet access, you have no telephone access, you have no mobile access from 5th of August till June 2020 or July 2020. So the people, cannot get their prescriptions. the hospitals and the pharmacies, they were unable to send their orders, because most of the technology now is based on email. So all the like the supplies and everything else, you place an order, and when you have cut off, so it become back to that pigeon messaging era, that you send it by snail mail and all that, whether they reach or not, and when it comes. So it's been 6 months, 7, 8 months. So that was the issue. So that was the backlog. So you have the cancer patients, you have other patients who never have medications, who never have medicines. So in those circumstances, Kashmir Development Foundation, the charity which I volunteer with, um, in partnership with the local organizations, charities over there, we started to help as much as we can. But it's so enormous, it's so big, the challenge. And then COVID-19 came along, and obviously the major issue was, as I said, that because of that, the economic impact on the common people. So you have the daily wagers, those who every day people go and out and work, so they have no work for 7 months. So their whole household income is based on, because there is no social security system as you have over here. You don't get any payment if you are out of employment. You have to earn every day. Uh, and when you have the armies, you have curfew, you have all that, every corner of the village, town, cities, is complete lockdown. So every 7 people have one armed soldier standing on them. So that's the population ratio with the armed forces there, the security forces there. So that has really brought some challenges. And then with people with disabilities, then we have a large number of people who've been disabled by pilot victims who lost their eyesights. And because the people, when they come peacefully protest against these lockdown, or the curb on their freedom of speech or movement, so indiscriminate firing, and so all that happened as well. So that was major challenge. So we started to help from here to support individuals with some food, but it is, I would say that it is very negligible. It's just that what you can do. If you support one person or 10 people, yeah, we will able to help 300 families, about 2,000 people. But you have there are 100,000 people who need that help. Yes, we were able to help 2,000 of them, but there is 98,000 people out there who may need that help as well. uh, but as I said, that our resolve and our resilience within our communities is there. Kashmir has been economically one of the because we grow our own food. Within Indian context, Kashmir is one of the, because of their natural resources, um, they are not dependent on outside. They grow their own. But again, if you don't have economic regeneration, then that doesn't last long as well. So those are the challenges. So what currently we are focusing on is that obviously helping people, because this huge issue of the oxygen shortage, and in India because of the COVID, and in Kashmir we are a bit lucky that it is not as severe as in India, but it is now, for instance, 2 weeks, it's gone too high. The number of cases are getting very high. To trying to get some oxygen concentrators over there. And we have started this program back in 2019. In Srinagar and Baramulla, we gave some oxygen concentrators over there for people with breathing problems and others. So my appeal is that help Kashmir breathe. So that's what we are asking for, that if you can contribute, if anybody can contribute, help us breathe in an air, not only for the COVID, but from oppression, of economic oppression, political oppression, for all sides. But at this moment in time, we are focusing to help people who are affected by COVID, to provide them with the oxygen concentrators, to save few lives if we can.
That's great. And you sent me the links on how to donate
Yes,
and
that's
other
right. Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And is there any light at the end of the tunnel for the area? Is it about political reform, or what could help make life better?
I think helping people to get their voices heard at our level, where we have the solidarity. What we're asking from the world, what we're asking from the people is that every day the international news media and the agenda revolve around political and international conflicts where international powers have their economic or other interests. Unfortunately, within Kashmir, those interests of the P5s, Permanent Security Council members, are not, I don't know, that much feature over there. Perhaps we don't have many oil wells there or something else, which are diamond mines there. But we are people. We are people in Kashmir, 18 million people, and for last 73 years, we are yearning for peace and to exercise our right of self-determination, which is guaranteed and promised by the United Nations. And you will find hardly out there any people who empathize and stand in solidarity with the people. And that's what we need. And we want to tell our story. We want that people hear our story and people know what's going on over there. Um, and that would be great help.